Our next presentation deals with virtual technology and the evolving landscape with Brooks Augustine from InContext Solutions. Now, a few housekeeping items. If you have questions during the presentation, type them in the chat box in the lower left of your screen. We'll try to answer them along the way as time allows. Now, between the presentation, right after Brooks' presentation, there'll be a CPG and retail trivia quiz for valuable prizes, including a grand prize of a Kindle Fire HD. We did this 15 minutes ago, and my chat box literally exploded with participation, so that's very popular. So, as we go on right now, our next presentation, as I said, deals with the virtual technology and the evolving landscape. Joining me now is Brooks Augustine, Chief Customer Officer for InContext Solutions, a provider of retail and shopper solutions powered by virtual shopping simulations. Brooks, take it away.
Thank you, John. I do appreciate the time, and good morning, everyone. My name is Brooks, and I'm Chief Customer Officer, and I joined InContext about 4 months ago, and after a 15-year career in syndicated research industry with Nielsen and IRI, and then also earlier in my career, I'd been on the manufacturing side with P&G and Pepsi with a few entrepreneurial stops in between. And I would just say I always tell people that I'm a seasoned professional, but I ask my kids and they just say that I'm old. So I just go with either one, but I tend to like seasoned better. InContext Solutions is an early-stage growth company founded in 2009. We're based in Chicago, and we leverage web-based virtual technology to create virtual stores and virtual shopping experiences to help our customers ideate and iterate in-store concepts, to evaluate them with our online tools, and activate by using technology to bring ideas to life, both internally and with your customers. The headline of the session today is the title of the first slide there is really about disrupting the status quo with virtual technology. We and many other industry experts believe that change is going to happen at a dizzying pace. And McKinsey actually has made the prediction that retail will change more in the next 5 years than it has over the last 100. And that's you don't have to go very far back in history to see some examples of that happening real time, with literally everyone in this picture were household names and were very integral part of our shopping experience over the years, and have since gone by the wayside, been acquired or merged with a much larger player, and it has spawned the new buzzword in the industry called omni-channel, or said another way, e-commerce and Amazon. I love the quote from the NRF conference earlier this year, which talks about consumers no longer go shopping, they're always shopping. I mean, that's part of an outgrowth of the connected society that we live in today. But everyone is seeing and chasing the e-commerce and and how we're going to defend ourselves against Amazon's onslaught. If you look at the numbers, the reality is that web sales only represent about 8% of the overall retail sales. So said another way, that's about 92% still in brick and mortar. But as you see, Amazon is by far the lion's share of that e-commerce sale. And again, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. I'm just trying to set some context here. And Amazon is innovating at a very rapid pace, and you can see they are attacking the grocery channel. And I think in the quote at the bottom here with the Prime Pantry, they're going after Costco and Walmart. I think if I polled the audience on the phone today, my guess is there would probably be 50% of you would probably be Amazon Prime members. I know that I am too, because it is very, very handy to have something in 2 days. But that has some implications, obviously. The hassle-free replenishment, that the innovation that they've offered, and they just launched in relative to the Dash Wand or even the Dash Button. These are all exceedingly popular and are gaining traction at a rapid pace. But if you're a brand manager, how do you like the fact that, or how are you going to get your brand in front of a consumer if you aren't part of the Dash Button program? and how do you think about impulse sales, which are so important in the grocery industry and the traditional channels. So it's everyone is trying to react to that by making it very easy to not go to the store. They're chasing convenience and are really trying to make it insulate themselves from Amazon, as I mentioned earlier. But keep in mind that one of the real important fundamentals in our industry, in the CPG brick and mortar industry, is that nearly 3/4 of all shopping decisions are still made in store, and that was a recent study from 2014. So the store matters for not only the brands but the retailers as well. So I think it really boils down to each store has to have a unique personality and a compelling shopper experience, because that absolutely adds to a brand's equity. I think a simple example about how store experience can add to brand equity. You look at an example here where the coffee probably a latte on the left is it tastes good, and it's a lot more expensive and less convenient to get, and the one on the right tastes better, wins all the taste contests, and it's a lot less expensive, and you can get it literally everywhere. It's ubiquitous. So which one's which? I think it very clearly shows that the Starbucks experience has really had a massive impact on that brand equity of the product that you're drinking, because it's okay coffee, but people are willing to pay almost twice as much. So when you think about seeking a better store experience, we still look at what all the consumers and shoppers are telling us is that 70% enjoy the experience of shopping in the store. They feel like it's a good family experience. It's a good stress relief for a lot of people and for a lot of shoppers, and they do just like to see new things and enjoy that experience. But we have to make it compelling, and we have to make it very desirable for them. So what are they looking for?
Yeah, Brooks, a quick question came in before you proceed.
Yeah. I'm sorry, John.
Regarding your last point, the question is, isn't there a trade-off for shoppers between experience and price value, hence the success of Walmart?
Well, I would tell you that I think the trade-off between experience and price value is, if you look at who's winning in the marketplace right now, the middle tier is really struggling. And because they don't have unique personality or experience in the middle. And and again, I would go back to the experience around the Safeway, Albertsons, and some of the mid-tier traditional grocery retailers are really finding it hard, because the Whole Foods and the Costco's at the high end, and the Wegmans and the Mariano's, if you will, because I'm in Chicago, are actually winning in the marketplace, and the low end, Aldi, is winning as well. So the experience tends to get people to look past the price or the value if it's compelling. But if it's not compelling, price value takes a higher role. Thanks, John.
Okay, you can proceed.
Got it. What consumers are looking for at retail is really, it hasn't changed an awful lot. I think that there's a couple of things that have really changed. The customization and the personalization. Consumers, especially if you think about the millennials in today's day and age, they are really very, very focused on what's in it for me, and I want what I want when I want it. And so that's where you get the 24/7 and the changing product selection. Costco continues to win in the marketplace because they have come up with a strategy of people believe when they go to Costco they're on a treasure hunt. Trader Joe's is another retailer that's doing exceptionally well, because you're finding things there that you can't find other places. So that treasure hunt and the customization by marketplace really does play a big role in what they're looking for at retail to get them to go to a store. And the millennials, as I mentioned just a minute ago, have created tremendous complexity within the retail industry, and they're well documented. I mean, literally every retailer out there has has tried to put together new strategies to attract and to appeal to the millennials. And, they're looking for, kind of mother and apple pie here with the warm, inviting, kind, considerate, helpful advocates, but no creeping salespeople. I love some of these verbatims, but simple, clean, and attractive. Well, this is what the millennials are looking for, and when you think about what they're actually preferring in the marketplace, it wouldn't surprise you that two of their favorite stores are at the Apple Store and the Sephora, because they are very clean, unique, compelling shopping experience. And I would tell you that if you've gone to an Apple Store, and I know many of you have, that most of the time these stores are packed. And so it's not that it's inconvenient, or it's not that it's really convenient to go in there and buy something, because you can get Apple products anywhere, any time. But they love the experience, and the salespeople are really, really helpful, and it's kind of cool to go in there. So it really speaks very loudly to the experience. Going back to shopper experience and how Starbucks is going to continue to innovate, they launched a program that they call Intense Customization in 2014. There were 1,700 Starbucks that went through this remodel and kind of relaunch, and it's basically just creating experiences that, I love the term, honor the integrity of the neighborhoods in which they operate. I mean, it is very, very laser focused to the locality that they are residing, and they will continue to make sure that experience is something that people will pay extra for, and then it translates to the brand equity when they're selling their products elsewhere. One other interesting innovation when it comes to retail experience, one of the biggest problems that you have when you buy things online, especially clothing, what happens if it doesn't fit? And so when you buy something on Amazon, it gets to your house, you try it on, and it doesn't fit, and then you got to say, okay, I got to send it back. Most of the stores pay for free returns, but it's the hassle of taking it back. In the UK, they've recently opened up little outlets called Dawdle. And what Dawdles are, they're located in all the train stations, is basically you can ship anything online to these stores. You can pick it up, you can try it on. If it doesn't fit, they'll package it back up for you and send it back all right there, and they have fitting rooms in the stores. And what's also unique is that the owner, a majority stakeholder in these stores, is Royal British Railway. And so you've got train companies or rail companies that are getting into the retailing business. Obviously, they own that property, so it makes it really, really feasible. But I think that's a great business that's come on the heels of e-commerce. So again, it gets to the experience, and the sharing economy. Again, millennials are driving this and creating a big piece of this. More and more, you don't have to look past the middle of the slide there with Airbnb and Uber and Zipcar, exceptionally successful companies that are taking advantage of the sharing economy. I even read an article about a company that's launching rental wedding cakes, and where they wheel out these big elaborate wedding cakes, and then they have one slice that they can take from the bottom layer, and then they take it back, and then they bring out they actually cut up the cake that was baked in pans, and so they can just rent that cake for the experience and for the visual. So pretty amazing what this sharing economy has generated. And it brings us to the next buzzword and the buzz term that's in the industry right now is the Internet of Things. Consumers, it's going from consumers engage with technology to technology engage with the consumer. And what's been in the news a lot recently is Google's self-driving cars. And I think out of 100 cars, I think 4 actually had accidents. But that is a very near term. It's when those things are going to become a reality. And I thought this was fascinating when you look at a new patent that was filed by Amazon. I'm not going to read down through this, but as you can read for yourself, the kind of technology and the kind of innovation that Amazon continues to drive, they are going to try to get into the brick and mortar themselves, and are already taking a few forays into that experience right now by launching some Amazon stores right now they're doing it at universities. because they're laser focused on millennials. This one's shown is at Purdue. The benefit there is they can buy and deliver things right to that store and get it in one day versus 2 day for typical Amazon Prime. So that's just a little bit on the context on why we have to be disruptive and we have to find better ways of doing things, because the environment that which we are in today is changing at an incredibly rapid pace. The value of virtual has been around for quite a while and for at least 10 years, and the power of virtual is it's helping companies ideate, evaluate, and activate in in-store shopping experiences. And we typically like to think of virtual in 6 I's. And I think the number one is it's immersive. Is the technology has gotten to a point where the stores really look real. And when you are in those stores online, you feel like you're in the store. It's intuitive how you can navigate around, and it's interactive, and you can individualize it as well as drive great insights and impact out of the tools. You don't have to look very far for how far the technology has come. As if you look at Madden 2005, this technology was cutting edge at that point in time, and it was considered, people hadn't ever seen anything like that right now. And so you fast forward 10 years to Madden 15, and the visuals have gotten so much better, and you can start seeing, bruises on the players' arms. You can start seeing veins in their biceps. You can see, leaves on the artificial turf. You can see beads of sweat. It really has become exceptional, and it's becoming ubiquitous with the Xbox and PlayStation, or even online. So virtual this is the gaming community has really given great impetus to the virtual technology to be able to take this into different use cases. Previously, the 3D virtual has been primarily reserved for innovation centers, to where you can bring people in and look at amazing visual technology and really get a sense and have work sessions in these central locations. But therein lies, part of the challenge is it was expensive, it was amazing technology, but it was rigid and typically on proprietary hardware or software. That's changing today, and the cloud has really, and the technology advances in streaming have really given rise to companies like ourselves that have been able to take that to the masses. And the collaboration capabilities, whether it's collaboration tables like you're seeing in this visual, or even online, to be able to look at virtual concepts and share those amongst your peers and your customers, is just really given this tremendous wind in its sails. So let's talk about how center store concepts have been really done to date. If you look at this particular picture, this shows a bird's eye view of an actual virtual store. And if you think about how we've typically done, aisle reinvention, I've talked to at least 6 or 7 of my customers recently. Everyone was talking about reinventing the aisle in center store. And so typically what we've done is they've used all sorts of tools to build out ideas, whether it be planogram software, Excel, in-house, aisles that they built in the warehouse or even in the company store, so to speak, so you can, ideate and change concepts around and really get a sense for what those are going to look like, get buy-off internally, and then take pictures and then take those to the retail store. But typically you won't have facts and figures to be able to support your case. So this is actually is going to be an actual demonstration of how our Shopper MX tool would be able to recreate and come up with different concepts, all in the safety of your own PC. What you do is you go into the bird's eye view, and you can see from this as you're playing the video, you can go and click on this gondola and open up that particular section of the store and saying, I'm going to make that a seasonal, or I'm going to make that a promotional aisle. And see if that's going to have a major impact on the store. So everything is done, to scale, and we can build out the concepts in a day or so. If you're a trained user, you can. We have all sorts of templates that you can use. You can drop in and then you can click on the floor, and it brings you right into the aisle. And then as you look at the cereal aisle here, everything is in 2D wallpaper. And then what I've done here is I'm going to bring in the planogram images into in a 3D environment. So all those images are now 3D, so you can get a realistic in-store experience. And as you kind of scroll around, you can kind of look down the aisle and say, well, I want to move that down a ways. And now that's going to be about right. You can change the height of the aisle. You can change the width of your section. Okay, so that seems to look okay. Maybe you drop a sign right there. And then so you can use either JDA or your Spaceman software. You can input the PSA files right into the tool. Then I'm saying, well, that's a little open, so maybe why don't I drop another display, unit in there, and it'll come in a 3D environment, and you can kind of adjust that and saying, well, okay, from that shopping experience or for that shopping vantage point, this looks pretty good. But I'm not sure exactly how it will land on the shopper, so maybe why don't I take a quick picture of this, and I'm going to send it off to the virtual attention analysis that we have a partnership with 3M to do, and you get a heat map. And so literally that'll come back in about 2 minutes, and you can find out quickly where a consumer's eyes are going to go on based on the way you've configured that aisle. And in this particular instance, it'd be based on shapes and colors, etc. They predict that the eye will probably go over left and wouldn't really see that. And then you get outputs, in spider charts that will show you which concepts that you test and what the output will look like, and how much of an impact it would have on your sales or the behavior of that shopper. So if you think about store reinvention, if you're a retailer, if you're going to remodel or try to implement a major center store effort or a major perimeter effort, you're probably going to want to test that in the marketplace, and it's probably going to take you in a typical 3-store concept test about 12 months and $1.3 million. We did this on an actual case study and got the feedback from our retail customer. And if you did this in a virtual environment, you probably do it in 8 to 12 weeks for $150,000 and get results that are going to be within 0.9, 0.95 correlation to actual. So the business case is very compelling. So what does a shopper do, and what kind of experience do they have, and does it really create a real experience when you run a shopper through one of these tests? So I'll just show you how what a shopper would actually see in an abbreviated format. If you're in the Northeast, you would recognize this Stop and Shop. I had somebody tell me this is like the one right down the street from them. We would give them a mission. We'd bring them into the store just like you were coming in, and after you parked your car. And this is an actual Stop and Shop environment. And they always want to drag you through the produce aisle first. And then we would, for this particular shopping trip, we would take someone we wouldn't let them walk the whole store, but we would drop half of them at one end of the aisle and half of them at the other end of the aisle. And in this particular experience is going to be in the cereal aisle. Then we would remind them that they're going to be on a cold cereal shopping expedition. And so buy it and shop it just like you would. And so you click, and you notice on the right is 2D wallpaper, and on the left you're going to see that the product has already been brought in a 3D environment with 3D SKUs. So it gives them a real-world experience in front of the cereal aisle. In this particular consumer, they were interested in Special K, so they bent down and they picked up a Special K and are able to rotate and look at all 6 sides of the product. And if they wanted to look at nutritional, you could zoom in on that. And you see down to the right, you can either add it to the cart or you can put it back. And we're tracking everything they do during this entire shopping experience. And what's really great about this is we actually can get behavioral outputs like sales velocity that come out of this depending on the size of the sample. But as you would with any kind of shopping trip, you can look at what you bought and then go ahead and click checkout, and here we go. And then we would give them a survey at the end. So that's how a shopping experience would work. And then we actually used this in a real-world case study where, and most of you on the line have probably presented planograms in category reviews to your retail partners. In this particular case study, the category captain recommended concept A, and I'm gonna keep the category and the brands anonymous for the proprietary nature here, but they saw that when we ran it through an actual test with our indicator product, that the penetration went down, the category sales went down. Private label sales went up because they added SKUs in this particular environment, and units per trip were up just very slightly. But they actually tested, the validator actually tested 2 other concepts, and they found that the concept C was far better, and they implemented concept C. If you play that out for a whole year, the impact of putting in A would have been about $1 million in category sales and $300,000 in margin. Pretty monstrous, outcome if you were in a negative way. If you had implemented concept A, and then you would have looked back at after about a year and go through and say what happened. We saved this particular retailer and a lot of money by actually testing it and bringing in facts and figures prior.
Brooks, a question just came in. Can you also integrate digital coupons into this program?
We are actually we are offering that as capabilities right now, and we are building out those capabilities with some of our clients in a test environment right now. And that we're going to have to continue to implement those those kind of advances in technology, and that's on the drawing board right now.
Excellent.
Okay, so then the next scenario here is really you're seeing a picture here of an in-store virtual environment that has been set, and this is an actual set that we uploaded from a JDA file, and it looks absolutely spectacular right there. But then what happens as sell down happens? What happens when it looks like this at 6 a.m. in the morning? Well, what about at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and what about at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? What happens? What is that shelf going to look like? Well, we can incorporate data and the velocity point of sale data, and we can really then visualize what that sell down is going to look like. And we actually use a highly technical term called shop downification. And don't look it up in the dictionary. That's an in-context term. But again, bringing concepts to life in a virtual environment is really the magic behind this. And you can do a lot with the visual analytics. So in closing, the millennial generation is really driving a lot of activity in the environment today. And they adopted virtual reality several years ago. And as we bring on more and more of the millennial generation into our workforce, this virtual reality, we believe, is going to continue to take hold and become literally a traditional tool that every manufacturer and retailer is going to want to use, because it enables you to make faster, smarter, more profitable decisions at the speed of business. And we really believe that that's going to be a wave in the future. And instead of selling religion, we're going to be able to talk about and start showing all the different versions of the Bible, to use a kind of an interesting analogy there. So one of the quotes that I really think that really brings this home is, if change seems painful, and try being irrelevant. And this really points back to the power of virtual and really changing and disrupting the status quo, because those retailers that we had that I showed early on, I really believe that if they would have tested and really stayed focused on the shopper experience and making that compelling and unique, they would have had a different outcome than some of the ones like Radio Shack and some of those, and like Circuit City, that are no longer out there. And so shopper experience really does matter, because again, over 90% of the sales are done there, and it just is absolutely important to be able to test that and see what results are going to come from it. So that's the story from InContext, both from an industry and a company perspective. John, I see a few other questions coming through there.
A couple of them just came through. Can you integrate and measure the effectiveness of in-store shelf signage?
Absolutely, one of our core competencies.
Okay. That's a good answer. And another question, how do you know that the results of your test will replicate in the real world?
We have quite a few white papers, and we actually have some in academia that have tested this, and we're seeing correlations between virtual results and in-store tests, actual in-store tests of between 0.9 and 0.95, depending on the category and depending on the test that's run.
Excellent.
So
okay.
the answer to that in very simple fashion would be it's close enough.
Okay. Who is the primary audience for your solution?
Yeah, the primary audience is really, as we see who would the technology perspective, from a technology perspective, category leadership or category center of excellence would typically be our primary stakeholder, but the users would be across the organization, whether it's marketing from a new product placement, packaging, new product ideas, signage, to Catman when it comes to assortment or aisle reinvention or adjacencies, to research, market research, which is, ones that are going to be driving shopper insights and the consumer insights. And sales is going to want to take advantage of this to really, bring their concepts to life with their retailers and making presentations.
Okay. How many environments do you have?
We have over 40 environments that are the industry leading players.
Okay. And final question, how do results from virtual testing validate to actual results?
Yeah, I think we just talked about that a little bit earlier. Is that we found found at 0.9 to 0.95 correlation.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Brooks. For more information about this presentation and the information presented, please contact Brooks.Augustine at InContextSolutions.com. Thanks, Brooks. That was really pretty cool technology. Okay, our next